So one of the main uses of those sum and difference identities that we learned the other day was to figure out the exact values of different pi over 12 or 15 degree family members. So here are a bunch of pi over 12 questions. It's asking you, can you find the exact value of cos of pi over 12? This would be non-calculator. It's not on your pi plate. The smallest angle you have on your pi plate is pi over 6. So the idea is we're going to use our pi plate values that we know, pi over 3, pi over 4, and pi over 6, and add or subtract them to see if we can get pi over 12. Can you figure out a way using pi over 3, pi over 4, and pi over 6, adding or subtracting, that would get you pi over 12? What's one way? So if you take pi over 4 and subtract it from pi over 3, you'd have 4 pi over 12, subtract 3 pi over 12. That would get you pi over 12. So that would be one way. Can you see another way is you could subtract 3 pi over 12 minus 2 pi over 12. That would also give you pi over 12. So this is how it's going to look. You're going to pick one of those. Say we choose pi over 4, 4 pi over 12 minus 3 pi over 12. And when we subtract them, we get pi over 12. Now, 4 pi over 12 is pi over 3, and 3 pi over 12 is pi over 4. And so now we have cos of something minus something. We can think of the pi over 3 as our alpha in our formula, and our pi over 4 is our beta in our formulas. If we do that, we can substitute it in, right? The cos alpha minus beta formula is cos cos plus sine sine. It's this one right here. Cos alpha minus beta, cos cos plus sine sine. And now you can enter in all of those values that you had, pi over 3 for alpha, pi over 4 for beta, and now each one of those is on your pi plate. So you know all of those values. Cos of pi over 3 is a half. Cos of pi over 4, root 2 over 2. Sine of pi over 3 is root 3 over 2. And cos, or sine of pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. Now all you have to do is write your final answer as a single fraction. So you need a common denominator. Do we have a common denominator already? They're both over, they'll both be over 4, right? Because 2 times 2 is 4. On this one I'm going to have root 2. On the other one I'm going to have root 6. So putting them together, I'm going to get root 2 plus root 6 all over 4. Part B said, find sine of 75 degrees. Same thing, now we're just working in degrees instead of radians. 75 degrees is part of the pi over 12 family, because if you change it to radians, 75 degrees is 5 pi over 12. So thinking of your pi plate, is there any way you could add or subtract to get 75 degrees using values on your pi plate? Yes. 45 plus 30. Now the number one mistake that students do at this point is they think they can distribute sine and say, is this equal to sine of 45 plus sine of 30? Because you're used to distributing if it's a number. Unfortunately, because sine itself isn't a number, it's a function, you can't distribute it. So the only thing you can do when you have sine of something plus something is use one of these formulas. In this case, we'll use the second one here. Sine alpha plus beta is equal to all 4 of those things. And now our alpha would be 45 degrees, and our beta would be 30 degrees. So we just plug it into the formula. Since all of those values are on your pi plate, you can evaluate each one of them. and then get your common denominator. And again, you have root 6 plus root 2 over 4. One thing you're going to find when you do pi over 12 family members for sine and cos, you're always going to have a root 6. You're always going to have a root 2. It's always going to be over 4. But the thing that's going to change is sometimes they're both going to be positive, sometimes they're both going to be negative. By both, I mean the root 6 and the root 2. So you get different values there as you go. Okay, so when we're finding this, we always have to start with something in the pi over 4 family. The reason for that is when you change pi over 4 to something over 12, and if we look back at what we wrote originally, the pi over 3 family, when it's written as something as pi over 12, it's always an even number. Same thing with the pi over 6 family. When it's written as pi over 12, it's always an even number. The only way to get an odd number is using the pi over 4 family, because pi over 4 will give you 3 pi over 12. In fact, any pi over 4 family, if we scroll down here, pi over 4 is 3 pi over 12, 9 pi over 12, 15 pi over 12, 7 pi over 4 is 21 pi over 12. They always give you odd numbers. It doesn't matter which pi over 4 family you start with. Whichever one you pick, and I chose 101 pi over 4 as mine to get 303 pi over 12. Whatever you start with a pi over 4, whatever you add or subtract to that to make the number you want will always work. So for cos of 17 pi over 12, we could pick any one of those and it will work. In fact, you guys all chose one of those ones when finding it. So if you choose 21 pi over 12, which is 7 pi over 4, you would have to then say, well, what do I need to make 17? I'd have to subtract 4. So whichever one you pick, you then have to figure out, well, what would I need to make that work? And then once you've done that, you can simplify it to find out what those family members actually were. Well, here I use 7 pi over 4 and pi over 3. No matter which one you use, you will get the same answer in the end. The only difference is now that I'm subtracting, I'm going to have to use the formula that uses subtracting. If you use the adding one, you'd have to use a formula that used adding. So what's the formula for cos alpha minus beta? It's cos cos plus sine sine. If we figure everything out, well, now we have some things. 7 pi over 4 is in quadrant 4. So on our pi plate, well, for cos, that's positive. But for sine of 7 pi over 4, that's negative. Multiplying it all out, and sure enough, we get a root 2, a root 6, and a 4 again, but this time there's a minus sign in between. So on an exam, I've often seen they ask, what's cos of 17 pi over 12? That'll be part A. In part B, they'll ask, what's secant of 17 pi over 12? And part B will be worth only 1 mark. So if you know that cos of 17 pi over 12 is root 2 minus root 6 all over 4, what is secant of 17 pi over 12 going to be? That's right. All you have to do would be flip it. Okay, question you can do for homework is number 7. That is example 5.